Welcome back to another episode of the Positive Persistence Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Bowen, and we are back in studio with a wonderful guest, Dr. Dan Mossell. He is the owner of Mossell Holistic, which is in Park Ridge, Illinois, which is just outside the Chicagoland area and also serves the Chicagoland area as well.
Correct.
Dr. Dan offers a unique blend of ancient and modern day healing techniques to help your body, mind, and spirit in remembering your true nature and realigning to your inner state of wholeness. Using applied kinesiology, traditional Chinese medicine, shamanic chiropractic, and other healing techniques, Dr. Dan's clients report feeling a sense of lightness, freedom, and renewed life after one of his sessions. Dr. Dan, welcome to the show. I am really excited to discuss the mind-body connection with you and the other modalities of medicine outside of Western medicine.
Right.
A lot of our viewers and listeners may not know that along my journey to recovery and healing, I used Reiki and Tai Chi. So I really want to talk to you more about the other modalities of healing and treatment other than Western medicine, because I know that that's part of your story as well.
Right.
But before we get too deep into that, I'd like to kind of give our listeners and our viewers a little backstory about you, about where your interest in medicine even started.
Right. All right. Well, as about 5, 6, 7 years old, I was having a lot of earaches, and I just remember. And it's so funny the things we remember, and I just remember that I would be in such agony, and there was this. My mom would take me to this clinic. Mom and dad would take me. And it was this doctor, and it was just a simple procedure where they would just take the warm water and pour it in your ear and to help clear out a lot of the gunk, the wax. And it was such warmth and it was such comfort. And I just remember that sense of, and it was like magic being performed for me. And it was something so basic, right?
Sure.
And, but the doctor had such a warm, always made me feel so comforting.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, I just always knew I was going to be in the healing profession. I thought for sure I'd be an MD, but then things kind of, life moves you a certain way.
Right. Yeah. Plans change a little bit.
Yeah.
Or the course changes a little bit, I should say.
Right. Actually, I started off so I did end up going to become a nurse. Mm-hmm. And, so after a little delay of getting there, and I said, all right, I'm going to be a nurse. And then I went to 4 years, become a nurse, and working at a big hospital downtown Chicago on a neurosurgical floor. And after a month or two, I'm like, I'm in the wrong profession, So a year later, I went back to school. And even that was a little tricky, a little winding path to get. First was going to be a naturopath, which is a hands-on similar therapy to chiropractic.
Okay.
And then halfway through that, for years the profession was trying to get. They're pretty much just in the Chicago area. They used to be way bigger in the Midwest, but over time the profession shrunk, and they were looking for their day in court. In the Illinois State Supreme Court, they finally get it. They said, yeah, naturopathy's good, but you guys aren't qualified. So, and I was about 2/3 of the way through the program, and I'm like, what am I going to do now? But then a lot of us ended up being able to do a program to become chiropractors. So It kind of worked out. And so it's, but even there, I knew that wasn't the end all be all. I said, I was coming from that Western model. You can't just go out and do the healing. You had to have a degree. You had to have a license.
Sure.
And, and I don't know, as I go on, I'm seeing more and more. It's nice to have that, but I think sometimes it's a hindrance as well, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, can you take us back to when you were a nurse in the neurosurgical wing? You said you were there for a couple of months, and then you were like, this
Yeah.
isn't for me. What was it about that wasn't in alignment with you?
Well, yeah. I mean, on the one hand, because they did a lot of there was people with brain tumors and things like that, and I thought, okay, that I saw the real validity of it, and some of it, not all of it. I think they're looking at it now. I didn't realize at the time I could see like the blending of being able to, like you were using the medical model and taking the good out of it,
Mm-hmm.
but then supplementing it with the Reiki and the Tai Chi, right? The energy, getting everything's energy.
Yeah.
But but then I was seeing these surgeries that they were doing and for low backs, for necks, for people with disc issues, and I just saw what they're doing, and I said, because I had some neuropathy and chiropractic as a child, as a kid, and as a young adult, and I said, this can't be the answer, and it was just, nope, this is it, and they said, well, we're going to do conservative therapy first, and if that doesn't work, we have to do surgery. And the conservative therapy was giving them a lot of drugs, putting them on total bed rest, and saying, don't get out of bed. They weren't even supposed to go to the bathroom. And I thought, how can this possibly be? I mean, the body's made to move,
Yeah.
Don't move. I mean, it made no sense.
Right.
I was like, okay, there's got to be a better way. But, too, and I felt a real need that, a lot of nursing was following orders too. And I'm like, I didn't go through all this to follow orders. I'm feeling like, okay, what's my medicine? That's been the journey. That's, 40 years later, I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. For myself, and probably for some of our viewers and listeners, can you kind of define what naturopathy medicine is?
Yeah, the founder of naturopathy was one of the original disciples of the founder of chiropractic, B.J. Palmer. So, and it was just, as opposed to chiropractic, that's saying it was bone on bone subluxation. These guys were, these were, as you figured out, it was about 120 years ago, 130 years ago, they were trying to figure this out, looking at cadavers and things like that, right?
Yeah.
And so Oakley Smith, the founder of naturopathy, he said it was more of the ligaments that was causing issues, that the tissues that hold the bones together, or as chiropractic said, it was more just that bone-on-bone subluxation. And so to this day, that argument's still going on, right? And there's a lot of definitions about what a subluxation is. And it's all I know is I can tell when it's there, and a lot of times I do, with people that says, is this more naturopathy or chiropractic? And it's all a blend, there's really, I think there was more, the words were different, but the actual treatments were pretty much the same. Everything's so blended. There's no really, this is chiropractic, this is naturopathy, right? So, yeah, and it's all, but even there, I to me, it was that, I didn't think that bone on bone of just doing just the adjustment. I said, there's something there. There has to be. I've experienced it and just from looking at it. But then I said, yeah, but there's more. There's a lot more than just that. That's just too mechanical, and we're not just mechanical beings, right?
I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that. When you say there's so much more there, what do you mean? What are you alluding to?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, one of my specialties is applied kinesiology. So the beauty of applied kinesiology is that the founder of it was George Goodhart back in the late 50s, early 60s. He was a really good chiropractor from Detroit area. And he kind of just, like a lot of things, just serendipitously came across a few things and was fixing somebody that had a shoulder issue, and just by rubbing a point up underneath the armpit area, at a point he went to a seminar and found out about these Travell points and these neurolymphatic points, and he rubbed it out and it got better. So he's like, he didn't have to adjust the arm at all, really, right?
Mm-hmm.
And or the neck. But so he did that, and then he just somehow a light bulb went off for him, and he looked around the world and said, well, what works? And so Chinese medicine, been around for 5,000 plus years, acupuncture.
Mm-hmm.
So something has to be there, anything that lasts that long, right?
Right.
And that's all based on energy. And these has all been mapped out for years. Tai Chi and Chinese medicine, the meridians, now they can be mapped out, scientifically proven that, there are these channels that people have been saying for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So, and all your mystics, of course, have used hands-on therapy, have used all this. So we come from people who've done this forever, right? And so unfortunately, we've always have done this, but 100, 200 years ago, people started to say, well, we need to get a little more modern about this, right? Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we threw the baby out with the bathwater. Was there some? Right. Of course, people, have there always been snake charmers? Yes. People who've abused things? Yes.
Sure.
Well, let's just be reasonable, but we've all felt, just like me, even just with having that experience with having my ear, and it wasn't just the mechanical part of it, but it was just there was something, I don't know, to me, that whole, I'm going to be okay. And that alone, how do we know, even a placebo, even if people say it's a placebo, well, great.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but if but the placebo effect is getting more and more powerful as time goes on. And it's kind of messing up these drug companies, because placebo is a lot more effective now than most of the drugs they're developing.
Would you say that is because there's more of a shift towards people that are either studying or believing in mindset, energy work, and understanding that your mind and body connection can be more powerful than any prescription drug?
Absolutely. That's it, exactly. And with more people starting to believe that and see that, there's a huge energy shift happening here, right?
Right.
In the shamanic world, it's the mystics that, the Mayans and the Toltecs that called this years ago, and it's happening. We're in it, so more and more people are becoming aware, because just energetically, it's a different world. Yeah. So everybody, it seems like there's a lot of chaos right now, and there is in the world, right? But this is we need chaos to make change, to transform.
That's true.
It seems sloppy. It's kind of ugly, and it's going to be ugly. It's going to be sloppy, but and people think I'm crazy all the time. I say, but you wait. Your kids, your grandkids are going to see a different world. They go, it's going to be terrible. Like, no, different, good. It's coming. Trust me, it's coming. Yeah. And all your mystics have predicted this forever. So, so energetically, a lot more people are waking up, in a good way, right? Not that,
Absolutely.
It's happening.
So do you feel that the medical field is still, I guess for lack of a better term, kind of trapped in the old school way of reactionary healing or treatment, as opposed to being proactive in treating the human so they don't have illness, they don't have weakness?
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, the medical field always is pretty much, it's 20 years behind the research. So there's a lot of research, about, now you're starting to hear, like, even just for instance, is this gut health, the alternative community forever. Hippocrates said, look to the gut for health 5,000 years ago.
Right? Let food be thy medicine. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And but now, now they're starting to say, this whole thing about the gut, there might be something here.
Right.
Well, it's pretty basic.
Right.
But yeah, it's, and unfortunately, as you know, it's a big business.
Yes,
And
of course.
and I remember when I was had an opportunity when our profession was falling apart back, that was 40 years ago, that I was talking to a lot of these old time naturopaths,
Mm-hmm.
and they were talking about big pharma and big ag, agriculture and all this. And I thought, oh my God, what a bunch of cynical old men,
Yeah.
And they were guys probably my age or younger at the time, actually. But now I'm like, oh my God, big pharma and all that, and there's a difference between, like, I was just an idealistic youth,
Mm-hmm.
but and it's just such a big business. And now, I mean, unfortunately, when I first got into the second hospital I worked at, it was still being run by nuns. That
Okay.
was, and now it's all these hospitals most of them are big time business, right?
Yeah.
And they're being run by big financial hedge funds, and there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of money. And unfortunately, so we always need to look to say, okay, who's benefiting from a lot of this? Even
Right.
a lot of the research that's being done, unfortunately, it's money driven. It's not for what's best for people's health. So
Right.
I think it's a real do-it-yourself kind of thing. You got to figure out and try to say, okay, I'm going to use this when I can, the good stuff of the medical model, but that might be, in my eyes, 5-10% of the time, right?
Sure.
And then figure out for yourself and how to be healthy, and it's what with I know the way you're working with people and training them, you're giving them that, and then hopefully people look at it and go, well, I'm working out, I may as well eat a little better, because you
Right.
can't go and eat
That's right.
all the garbage
That's right.
and come and show up at the gym. You're not going to feel good, right? Yeah. So,
Right.
and that all feeds into itself. And then there's just that whole mindset, right? We got to get the mindset right.
Absolutely.
So, so we need to, I think it's up to us to change the medical field,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to take time. I've seen changes during my 40 years in business, but slow. But for 40 years, there's been a lot of change, right? You see day to day, it's nothing, but over time you go, and it's not so much the medical models changing, but like you said, the people are changing, and people are expecting more, expecting different. And if just like organic food, at first there wasn't a market for it, but now there is. So there's a lot more organic food.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot more alternative practitioners, MDs. That's what we need to give it a little more oomph, right? Because if they can show that, there's money in this.
Yeah.
Maybe there's hope.
So do you think that the need for the MDs is for validation of the alternative medicine?
No.
Okay.
For it to grow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The validation's there. The research, all the things that your alternative people have claimed and said over the years,
mm-hmm.
a lot of it has come to fruition. And now there's research. Just as simple as doing things as simple as meditating.
Yeah.
There was like people all poo-pooing that. I'm like, how? I mean, just everybody, just common sense would tell you. Now there's the research to back it up, right?
Do you feel that, I guess to rephrase my question, do you think that MDs are needed to validate alternative medicine in terms of public perception?
Well, I don't know.
You think it's just a matter of time?
Because I think it's a matter of time, and I think, I don't know. I mean, the medical field, I don't know how. I mean, back when you and I were kids,
mm-hmm.
doctors were, they were revered, and you trusted them.
Yes.
I don't know if that's still there.
Okay.
I think
that's what I was kind of getting at.
Distrust.
Okay.
With the medical field, I think because a lot of people are saying, well, because like you said, it's a difference now. People go, I don't know about this, right?
Mhm.
There's a lot more questioning. Nobody questioned the doctors
Yeah.
back when we were kids, right?
Yes, and when I was going through my journey, I got an answer or a prognosis from a doctor that I didn't agree with.
Right.
So at that point, I felt like I'm not putting all of my eggs in this basket of being told that this is as far as you're going to go, this is as far as you're going to heal, and this is what we can do for you, and that's kind of going to be it.
Right.
So I wasn't satisfied with that. So personally, I had to find other avenues of healing because Western medicine only took me so far.
Right.
And then it was, well, that's as far as you're going to get, which didn't sit well with me. So I had to look for other avenues, and finding alternative medicine like Reiki, like acupuncture, like Tai Chi really opened my mind to that there are other ways to healing oneself than just surgery
Right.
or pharmaceuticals,
Right.
which seems to be the go-to of Western medicine.
Right. Well, in Eastern medicine, there's a lot more respect for what the body can do, right? And that's why I think, the Reiki and Tai Chi came from the East, and there's the whole real appreciation of how the body is magical. It truly is magical. And that's where the Western medicine has really such limiting beliefs about what the body can do. And that's why you said you didn't believe it. You said, from the sounds of it, no, you weren't going to let it limit you. Right? So that's a kudos to you. And then it was just a matter of finding out, okay, what do I need to do, right?
Yes. Because the goal for me was to make sure that I would be in the future, let's say now, 16 years later, and not looking back and saying, I wish I would have tried this, I wish I would have tried that. The goal was, I'm going to do everything in my power, unturn every stone, take every advantage possible to try to heal myself to get back to where I wanted to be, which was 100% recovery.
Right.
Still not there, still working towards it, but so much further along where I am now than if I would have taken the doctor's advice and kind of just gone with what they prescribed.
Yeah, you could have bought into that and said, oh, okay, this is just the way it is.
Yeah.
And even if you had done some of these other things, but if you had still had that belief, you wonder. I mean, we don't know, right? But we do know. I mean, and there's studies showing, the power of belief. Yeah, it's just amazing, right?
It absolutely is.
Yeah. That's what kind of, too, that over time that led me to, that's what I really love about shamanism. With shamanic healing is that the body, because it's all about using allies, and our body's our biggest ally. Treating your body as an ally and say, okay, body, what do you need? And talk to your body, listen to your body, right? And I always tell people, I said, if the body can cause something, the body can fix it. It works both ways. It has to, right? My mind. How can it not?
Right. Talk to us more about shamanism, because I'm sure there's not a lot of people out there that are familiar with the practice. And you just talked about listening to your body. And I think we are definitely in a world and a society where it is go, 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 fast pace, fast pace, fast pace. What's the best way that someone can do that? What's the best way for someone to be able to tune in to listen to what their body's telling them?
Be quiet. Take time. Just takes time. It can be as little as 2 minutes. It doesn't have to be, but it's making a practice, having a practice, and just setting aside and just say, okay, every morning when I first wake up, I'm going to spend 2 minutes it can be as simple as just saying hello to your body. Just when you wake up, and just say, all right, toes, start with your toes, work your way up. Good morning, toes, wiggle your toes. Good morning, legs. And just working from bottom up and whatever. And it could be as simple as that. And focusing on breath. Every once in a while, just it's that long exhale. It innervates your vagus nerve, right? And that's your parasympathetic nervous system. Just being aware. I love when I walk outside, I hear the birds. I go, oh, whatever bird. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Cardinal.
Yeah.
I mean, simple, Say hello to the trees, say hello to the whatever. It's just, we're part of an environment where we're not, we tend to, especially, we've talked about screens. We can get sucked into it, but there's no reality in there.
Right.
It's just all out here. So it's as simple as that. It really is. It's, shamanism is just, it's the world's oldest spiritual tradition. And the whole concept of shamanism is just about the gathering, storing, and using of power. That's all it is.
And is power, does that equate to energy? Is that the same? Is it synonymous in the world of shamanism?
I mean, power can be energy. We could use energy to help power, but just having compassion. More compassion and being compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
That's powerful, right?
Yeah.
Right, and just like I always say, like these, you go out to a forest and you see these trees competing for sunlight, for minerals, for water, right? The good news for us, there's infinite sources of power, so we don't have to compete. Mm-hmm. If I'm getting powerful, it's not going to take any power away from you. There's plenty of power for you and everybody, right? So, but it's that being able to be the best we can be because we've taken on this body. How best can I use this body? How for whether you want to call it service or your medicine or whatever it is, mm-hmm. How best, and it's even you see a little child, they're working on their medicine, right? It's amazing. So, yeah.
So in that regard, and I heard you in a conversation before we started the podcast, saying everything is medicine. Can you kind of break down what do you mean by that?
Well, even like say you have something that seems to be a bad circumstance, mm-hmm. You get in a car accident, whether you get hurt or not, even if you get hurt, that's all, because everything's a medicine, so everything can be a lesson, and to me, we're here to learn. We took on a body to learn, yeah. We're I truly believe we're spiritual beings having that physical experience. We're using Earth as a great classroom, mm-hmm. and it's full of wisdom. But, so you can, like anything, so you can say, well, that was so terrible, and you can make it be the worst experience ever. You can go, wow, I didn't die. I was really not paying attention, whatever it is, just say, there's some good there. There's always good, right? And out of anything, and so it's all about just taking everything and using it for what it is, so everything's medicine,
So when you say that, for me personally, I need to unpack the idea of medicine being a pill or an elixir or a syrup or something that I'm putting in my body. And it's really, as you said, kind of extrapolating the good out of any situation and using that to grow. Growth. So you can take that and use it to become the next best version of yourself.
Right. Yeah, just keep gathering power. It's just ways of gathering power, right? And yeah. So, it's just, everything's a mindset. So if you can change your mindset that we're in a game, and the games, we're like Vegas. Vegas just it has the tables tilted towards them.
Yeah.
The game's tilted for us to win. We're all winners if we choose to be. Mm-hmm. And even if you go through life and you're miserable and you're terrible and it's the worst life ever, well, that was your medicine,
Right.
And you've known a lot of people who you saw them growing up in the houses they grew up in. You go, oh, this is tough. And some of them get really beat down from it and can't come out. Others, like, man, what a blessing that, you know, and
Mhm.
people say, well, you know, we say, well, you know, you chose your parents. Well, why would I choose those parents?
Right.
You know, well, I don't
Yeah.
know. That's for you to figure out.
Right.
I can't tell you. I don't know. But so it's all medicine, you know. So yeah. The more we can just realize that, what's the lesson here? What's the gift?
Mhm.
There's always it's there. But it's all about perception. You have to just turn things around sometimes, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to reframe it.
Reframe. Yeah. And it's, you know, you could be that victim if you want. That's a tough way to go through life, being a victim.
Yeah.
I've done it too much. It's not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. No power there.
Yeah. No power there.
Right.
Right. So I love what you just said is that, you know, we're all winners if we choose to be.
Yeah.
Right. And that, yeah, is such a great way to describe how the importance of mindset, because we all have a choice. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
Is we have a choice.
Right. Yeah. I'm still like, so in my practice, it's all about changing and learning all new things. And it's always like, what's the best way to help people the quickest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I, for years, thought, okay, well, if I learn this, I'll be able to help people in a different way. And I won't have to use my hands on, you know, I can do other things, but it always keeps coming back. I like using the hands, but we need to figure out how to, because a lot of times I tell people, I said, man, I can help you with the hands on, but you got to do your part, you know, and that's the thing, is how to get people to go, to change their mindset, right? And so it's been fun recently. I've really been trying to call that in more, and that I've been getting a lot of people who are way more interested in that. It's fun, you know, that's the way it works, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this whole mindset, like you said, that's it. I've had a few younger people lately. I've seen them switch. One gal, she was having pain. Her list of complaints was so long, and she's a young gal, you know, in her 30s. And now she's down to, like, she got one little bit in her arm still there. And so we're working on that. But she bought in. I always like to tell people they're fixable, you know, and people go, really? I go, yeah, this is fixable. Oh. And just that alone changes their mindset, right?
Yeah.
That this is fixable. To what extent? I never tell them, because I don't know.
Because you don't know, right?
But
Sure.
It's fixable.
Yeah. So
you know?
in that instant, then you change their belief.
Right.
And that's where it begins.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That little, shift in mindset for them to think that there is a possibility that I can get better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. It's a real great shamanic tool, because, you know, I grew up listening to things where you had to use these affirmations, you know, oh, I'm driving a wonderful car and all this, I have all this money in the bank. And I'm looking at, I'm driving an old beater with no money in the bank. I'm like, who am I kidding? You know, I said, well, you just got to keep doing it till you believe it. I'm like, well, I'm never going to believe this. On the one hand, so magic, and then things are possible, but on the other, I'm very logical. And I'm like, no. But then I learned about 5 years ago from one of my mentors, Jose Stevens, and he talks about the universe likes curiosity. So you can ask these open-ended questions. Is it possible that I can have all the money I need in the bank? Is it possible I'm driving a late model car that's perfectly suited for me? Yeah, it's possible. And the universe goes, oh, you want to know what that? Then you go, what would it feel like? And then you say, what would it feel like if I did have that? And the universe goes, oh, you want to know? Okay, here you go. Here you go. Here you go. So that's why when you say you are fixable, people go, oh, is that possible? That's when you said, is it possible? Yeah. Yeah. And curiosity is a game changer. Yeah. Right? Yes. Yes. Yeah. As long as, and I think that everybody, well, maybe they don't, but to realize that the realm of possibilities is endless. Right.
Right?
Right. Now, when you get somebody new come to you and they say, Ian, I want to really get this, that, and the other. So you've got to get them to be, well, how do you go about that?
Yeah, we obviously have to temper their expectation with what is possible with the willingness that they have. Because what I tell people that I coach is that you have to be an active participant in your success. So like you can't have the idea of, I want to lose weight, or I want to get more fit, or I want to be healthy, and this is going to just poof magically happen because you come work out once a week. Right? There's all these other things that you need to be putting in place and doing to make sure that you get the result that you want. Right. But again, you have to be an active participant in your own success.
Yeah.
But when they start, and what helps though is that when they start on this journey and they start to get some small wins, then that belief begins that I can accomplish this. Right. And as soon as you have that, then you start to stack those small wins, and those small wins eventually turn into big ones. But consistency is key.
Yeah.
You know, and for me in my own healing journey, consistency was definitely key. Going through physical therapy multiple days a week, but then utilizing the teachings and the modalities of Reiki and Tai Chi. These are things that it's kind of like if you don't use it, you lose it. So those are things that you have to, and it's called a practice for a reason. You have to practice these things routinely, as you already mentioned, that you have to have consistency with that for you to be able to see some results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no magic pill.
There isn't. There isn't. No. There is no magic pill. I would like to talk to you more about your practice and the modalities that you use for your patients, because it's a bunch of different things. So it's chiropractic, it's naturopathy, it's shamanism, it's massage. The list goes on.
Right.
Correct?
Right. Yeah, it's been interesting over the years to see. I used to have somebody come in and they would have all sorts of laundry list of different issues. Mm-hmm. And I used to go, oh boy, what are we going to do here? Where do I start?
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because, as you know, there's no substitute for experience. So seeing these things over the years now, it's become such a blend of what I do, even because I did this shamanic healing class over a couple of years ago. What I liked about it is that because a lot of the things I was already doing, it's just, it allows me other tools, and just a lot of because chiropractic was founded by he was a magnetic healer, B.J. Palmer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was, yeah. He was a magnetic healer, so he really did a lot of energy work, and that's what I'm finding is a lot of times is, for sure, we need to work on nutrition. Most people come in. Unfortunately, a lot of people are really inflamed. People come to see me, they're eating inflammatory foods, right?
Yeah.
How much somebody weighs is not important to me. It really doesn't make a difference. But how they're making themselves weigh that, because some people are very slender but they're some of the most unhealthy people. But people look at somebody thin, they go, oh, look at how healthy they are.
Yeah.
No, maybe not.
Right.
But so with what I like about applied kinesiology is because the whole concept is that every organ and gland in the body has one or more muscles affiliated with it. So people will tell me their story, to do a history, and then, and so I'm looking for, just what aches and pains they have, if they have any ongoing health issues. Mm-hmm. But then how are they sleeping? How are they eating? How is just their anxiety level, their stress level? How do they perceive how stressed they are? Mm-hmm. And so that gives you a lot of little clues. And then we get people on the table, and and it's just, I find certain patterns with certain muscles off. I can tell a lot of times when people are eating way too much refined carbs. There's the latissimus dorsi is tied in with your pancreas, which is tied in with the insulin. And so I can always tell. I get somebody on and I feel it, and it has a certain feel to it. I go, ooh. I'll ask. I go, you eat a lot of sugars, don't you? Oh no, not too much sugars, but I eat a lot of bread. I'm like, well, that to me is sugar.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, bread, pasta, rice, that's sugar, just in a different form. And you can tell people who have, and I say, you have trouble, you get angry if you skip meals, you get a little cranky. Oh yeah, how did you know? I'm like, well, your body tells me. My body tells you that. I'm like, yeah. So it's all about, you see these things, and then it's all about trying to, number one, work on it. But once again, they have to do their part. Yeah. So I'll have them do it. If ideally I give them a 2-week carbohydrate intolerance test. And unfortunately, most people, oh, that's too hard. I'm like, yeah, it's yeah, you have to put some effort in for 2 whole weeks,
Right.
But I was telling them to say it's simple, but not necessarily easy,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but it's up to my job a lot of times is to get people to buy in and go, yeah, because they want to believe it, but they just can't quite get it. I said, well, do it for 2 weeks. What do you have to lose?
Yeah.
And I can always tell the people who've done it because who'd shift, but they make the biggest change. So nutrition is so big. That's a big part of my practice. And I used to think, well, you got to eat this way, but that was rather naive on my part. I'm willing to work with however people want to eat, but there's just certain caveats. Okay, you can do this, but don't do that. Let's just, I'll work with you. But, so it's a very doable thing, because it has to be a lifestyle. It can't be a diet,
Yes.
right? It has to be, you and I might like completely different foods, but we can both eat very healthy, right? So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, but we know what you shouldn't eat, right?
Absolutely.
There's certain things, but so that, and then it's just a matter of figuring out it. What beautiful applied kinesiology! It really guides you pretty quickly to what's going on, and you see it, and you see certain patterns, and it's so simple. It's to me, I just can't, like, well, this is so easy. When people really want to get better and they listen, not that they got to listen, but if they just follow and just say, let's just try this and be curious, right? And once again, that curiosity. And is it possible that this could work? Well, let me try it,
Yeah.
And the ones who are willing to just say, okay, I really do want to change. As you know, people want to change, but they don't want to do things differently.
Right.
That's right. We're creatures of habit, and it's hard to change. And that's where it's up to us to inspire that change, right? That's our biggest gift to people, is to give them inspiration, to me. And then the knowledge comes after that, what you can teach and do. But you have to inspire people. If you don't inspire, that's my biggest challenge is okay, how do I inspire this person? How am I going to connect with this person and get them to go, ooh, all right, maybe he's out into something.
Yeah.
Give me a chance.
Right.
Give themselves a chance.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, to help you help them.
That people say, oh, it can't be that easy. Well, yeah, it can't be, right?
Yeah.
It is.
It's interesting to me, mind-blowing, as a matter of fact, that you have the experience to, by manipulating or touching somebody's back or their lats, that you can tell that the way that their lats feel,
right,
that they have been eating too many complex carbohydrates.
Right.
And that's incredible to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, a big technique I use too is neuro emotional technique, which has been around. It's founded by another chiropractor and Scott Walker. He always said our issues are in our tissues. So we know there's certain organs and glands and certain meridians are off. He once again went to the Chinese and learned what they knew, and because he was an old applied kinesiology guy, because our emotional state of being affects our physical body.
Sure.
This has been mapped out for thousands of years. And so a lot of times just working with people too, just using it with muscle testing, with intuition, and then just knowing and finding certain areas, certain areas like, this is usually when I see something here, you have liver gallbladder issues, and then, and all that, there's a whole set of emotions with the liver gallbladder, right? Anger, resentment, frustration, that feeling of gall people are indecisive, So you see these tendencies and you ask people, oh yeah, I'm super indecisive. How did you know that? Well, your body once again is telling me, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of, for me, it's fun on the one hand, but on the other, for people to get, I want, once again, people to get, okay. And then let them know you don't have to be this way. If you want, you can shift, So that's my next 30 years is what I'm working on.
Yeah.
Refining that, getting people to really buy in so they go, I can do this differently. It's up to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll guide, but you got to do the work.
Right.
So, yeah.
So,
that's what I'm looking for.
As you said, the world is starting to shift in that direction, and believing in that there are these different pathways to healing,
Right.
And there are different modalities to use, and that maybe they are starting to believe that if it is to be, it's up to me, and I need to believe,
right,
in order for it to actually work.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to be able to snap our fingers and just be better yesterday.
Right. But I think it's this finding, we get so deep in the weeds, and sometimes it's just basic stuff.
Yeah.
It's so simple. And it's that starting off, just say, because people know junk food, good food, and they know the difference.
Yes.
It's not complicated.
Right.
They know that they have to move. They know they need to start a little resistance. It doesn't have to be, it could be anything. Start small. People want, it's got to be this big, grand thing. No.
Yeah.
Start small. It's so easy. It's too simple. And people, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. Well, no, they wouldn't, because it is that easy, right?
Yeah.
I learned some things when I was in lectures and learning from some masters. I'm like, God, I don't know about this. I said, this just sounds too easy. And man, I've had learned some techniques that just like for getting rid of scar tissue and helping with that, I mean, just some things that I've seen over time. I'm like, it really works. I said, wow, okay.
Right.
So as you know, then your belief goes up, right? This is pretty interesting,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and it makes you more curious, like, well, what else is out there, right? That's where I'm at least. So,
yeah, what else is out there, and let's see if it works.
Right?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Why not check it out?
Yeah. What do you have to lose?
Exactly.
Don't do crazy stuff, but basic common knowledge, common sense.
Yes.
And as you know, we use time as an ally. No matter what age you are, just you got time. Yeah, use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Dan, this has been so educational for me personally, and I hope that our viewers and our listeners are getting something out of this as well. What would be the best way, if they have more questions about shamanism or applied kinesiology, to be able to get in contact with you?
I'm assuming there'll be show notes, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, just email me is so easy, or my website, mossellholistic.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely put that email in the show notes so they can email any questions if they have any. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
All righty. Thank you.
All right, that is it for another episode of Positive Persistence. I am your host, Ian Bowen, and I want to remind you to like and share this episode. If there's something in here that you really resonated with, share with other people so we can continue to help everybody step into their greatness. So with that being said, remember, stay positive, stay persistent, and remember, mindset is everything. We'll see you next time.